Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Let's Fuck France with your hosts Venomous and
Themus, how's it going, guys?
so, Themus, why don't you remind us where we left off last time, because there was a lot that happened in that last 45 minutes, and maybe we should kind of recap quickly to the viewers that are also learning the game like myself what we did.
Okay, so in the last game we played a whole of 11 days, and that's because we made a mistake in who we wanted to improve relations with in the very beginning. Basically, the very beginning was dealing with the opening moves of the game, which is putting our diplomats where we want to put them, making sure the trade's going the way we want it to go, and taking care of all these little disaster banners in the top left-hand corner of the screen. We basically got through all the ones we could. We fired and hired advisors and had a good time. So now we're about to jump into our first actual game play, where it's more than just a starting moves. We're going to move armies into position and kind of set up for what's going to be happening in the next few months to years of this game.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So I'm going to do the unthinkable and unpause. Oh my gosh.
Oh
so
no.
fast.
I don't know what to do with myself anymore. Oh god, I'm panicking. I'm panicking.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to set our barks or our light ships to trade. So I guess I'll pause again. We made it to December this time, guys.
Oh wow, that's a whole, like, how many months did we go? I actually missed the last month.
We're actually at about 20 days into the game now. Oh man.
We're making progress. We're making progress.
And if you guys can hear a jet taking off in the background, I'm very sorry. I'm currently back home in Nova Scotia for the Christmas break.
Woo, Nova Scotia!
I'm on a it's a very, very wonderful gaming laptop from about 2010. So it's been through a lot.
You know what? As long as it can run EU4, and I mean, we're able to
and
do
act
this.
as a server. It's pretty great.
It's a little bit of East Coast meets West Coast. You know, me being a Vancouver native and you being a Halifax native, we combine our East Coast, West Coast, and we create this ultimate central dynamic. I'm just throwing things out there.
A very central Canadian dynamic, eh?
Oh fuck yeah, bud, eh?
Oh fuck yeah.
Well, fuck yeah. Well, so what's next there, bud?
Okay, so now we're gonna go. If we see in London, we've got some ships in the port.
Yes,
you can also see this in. Oh no, I'm gonna be talking like a East Coast accent there now, bud.
Oh fuck yeah, there, bud.
Oh, so
we're in the fucking London their harbor there, and there's a fucking boat there.
Yeah, we see there's two groups there. There's our Royal Navy and our Blue Squadron. Our Blue Squadron there. That's all our barks. That's our light ships. And what they're gonna do is we're gonna select them, click the select button, and you see there are 9 light ships. They're the second column over. That's basically your light ships column. The first column is your heavy ships. They have much more guns and much more hull strength.
Wait, I think I'm looking at the wrong place, because I see 6 heavy ships and 0 light ships.
Okay, so you're in the other squadron. You're in the Royal Navy.
Oh, yes, I'm in the Royal Navy.
So you can basically, if they're both parked on the same tile, you can just click on them and it will cycle through. Nice handy dandy feature there.
Alright, there we go, Blue Squadron.
Okay, so you see there's 4 columns. Heavy ships, light ships, galleys,
and transports.
Transports.
Yeah.
Transports, they're the weakest ships. All they really do is, the purpose they serve is to move your troops from one location to another. Galleys are very, very good on inland seas. Basically, the Mediterranean Sea, if you look on your map. The entire Mediterranean or Black Sea or Baltic, those are where your galleys are good. So if you were Denmark, Sweden, Lithuania kind of thing, or if you were the Ottomans or any of the Italian nations, you'd want galleys. We don't really want galleys. They don't have much of a bonus to us in the open ocean that we mainly find ourselves in.
Okay.
Although I have seen that there are arguments that because you can get 2 galleys for the price of 1 heavy, that you can squeeze away or can make it work being England and only having galleys instead of heavies, but it's generally not recommended for the beginner.
So galleys essentially we want to keep in smaller bodies of water.
Yeah.
Light ships and heavy ships we want in larger bodies of water, like the ones that surround England.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
ones that are more open.
Gotcha.
So, and shallower, actually. Shallower is the more appropriate way to say it.
Right, yes.
Geographically, not in the game. I don't think it's really modeled by depth. So yeah, so now let's focus right now on the light ships because those are most important for trade. If you see, there's a whole bunch of buttons that you can click. So you can see there's create new unit, protect trade, start patrolling, send on a privateer mission, mothball, and hunt pirates.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really care about hunting pirates because there aren't any pirates right now, or privateers. We don't want to privateer because there's no one to really get money from that shares trade in our nodes. That will be something we'll probably do later on, and that will be more of an advanced tactic to get a little bit extra money.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll need a lot of light ships before we can peel some off to focus on privateering as opposed to just generally protecting trade.
Okay.
So the money thing, protect trade. So each of your ships has a certain value attributed to how much it can protect trade. And this only matters because you can upgrade ships over time.
Okay.
And if you don't upgrade ships, then you start paying a lot more for crappier ships that don't do as good a job protecting trade.
Okay.
But you can see right now that each individual light ship, I think if you hover over... there's somewhere we can hover over that'll tell. But if we go to... If you click the Protect Trade button, and we hover over all these send options, you can see which one is the best bang for the buck. If we go, say, send it to Lubeck, for instance, we get... it increases from 0.7 to 2.6 gold for a cost of 0.39 in maintenance. That would be good if we had a merchant steering trade from Lubeck, but we don't. So it's not something we're really too interested in right now. Lubeck is, if you know your geography, is by, I guess, in the Baltic coast, just north of, or just south of Holstein, Denmark area.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay.
I mean, looking at those values, we can see that there's some sort of increase from some base value to a higher value, and there's a cost of maintenance, right?
Mhm.
If we're looking at it, our best bang for the buck, I think, is for Bordeaux, because we go from 0.81 to 2.14, so we have probably the biggest net gain there. Actually, no, it's probably the same as Lubeck.
Mhm.
I would
Well,
say
if you
the
look-
English channel is kind of useless, because you go up 0.2 and then you lose 0.39.
Mhm. Well, you're also protecting, it's because it's our home channel, we're protecting against all the other people that are in that node.
Okay.
So, I mean, most of them are currently, it becomes a diminishing returns. Usually you want a few in your home node to begin with, but we can start, probably we don't need to focus too much on the North Sea. As we can see in the North Sea, there's only so much gold in there right now. If we can increase... Well, let's take a look at what our trade value could be. We have 6% in Lubeck, and we have 19% in the North Sea. The way I got to that is if in the trade menu, which is E, the trade shortcut.
Okay.
So you click, if you see that, you can see the arrows again. And then we can click on these major centers of trade. There's one in Lubeck, one in the North Sea. And you can look at the pie chart for all the countries that have power, or you can alternatively sort by trade power. You can kind of click on all those little tabs and sort by below.
Sorry, which menu is this?
This is if you clicked on the major trade node in the trade menu.
So hold on, let me open up the trade menu with E. E is the trade menu? I don't see a menu that pops up.
If you're not inside of your diplomacy or anything tabs.
It just changes the map outlook for me.
Okay. It should be an out, yeah. So I guess go to economic map modes.
Economic map modes, which is...
Right above your map.
Ooh, oh, economic map modes. Right, got it.
And then trade is the very top one.
Right. And so I select that, and that just changes. I can see the paths of trade now.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So you can also see these bigger squares that have numbers in them
Yes.
with like money symbols and whatever. So the one that's closest to us is this English channel node, and it's got 11 gold in it right now. We earn, if we click on that number, we see we earn 7.13 gold out of that node.
English channel. There we go. 11.5.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that up.
If we click on it, we get more detail.
Right, gotcha. Okay, I'm up in that menu now.
Yeah. So now we can see if we hover over the pie chart, we have 49% of the trade power in this node. So if we can increase our trade power, we can increase our market share. So sometimes it's worth it to increase the amount of money that we're earning to kind of either we can make it so that people who have the option not to collect here will collect somewhere else.
Okay.
Or, I mean, that usually doesn't happen because they're AI, they're not smart enough to realize. Or B, we know who to take over in order to increase our market share.
Okay.
I guess we don't really need to protect our home node right now because it's not going to help us as much as if you look at Lubick, or then in Lubick, we click on them, it basically keeps us in this more information menu, but just moves us over. Lubick is the one that's by Denmark.
Yeah.
So we see that you can see there's two kind of red small slivers. We're the top one.
We're 6% of the trade.
Yeah, exactly. So we can, if we increase our percentage and as well put a merchant here to steer trade, we might end up making more money than if we didn't steer trade from the North Sea.
Okay. So how do we place a merchant here? Because I think that would be the better idea.
Okay, so what we can do is we click on Lubick. We see there's those two blue tabs, collect from trade, transfer trade power.
Clicking on it. Lubeck. Sorry, two tabs, collect from trade, transfer trade power is what you're saying?
Yes.
I have the Lubeck menu up, but I don't see it.
So do you see next to the two green circle, or the two circles?
Oh, there's 80, yeah, Lubeck. Go to the trade node. Okay, collect from trade or transfer trade powder. Okay.
Exactly. So now you can click on the transfer trade power button.
And then we have to
choose the guy in the North Sea.
Alright.
So now we can see it. So now next month we'll see. So what we can do to check what the change is next month, we can go back to our F1 and 4, which is our trade menu.
Yep.
And that tells us how much gold we earn from trade.
Okay.
I'm also going to send our light ships to protect trade in Lubick. So that we'll have that going for us as well. And we'll see what the change is next month in our income. If it goes down, then we know that we want to move our guy back to the North Sea. If it goes up, then we know we made the right choice.
Okay.
And that's basically how you learn to do trade in this game, is just kind of clicking the buttons and seeing the result month to month.
So it's not something that you can predict beforehand. You mean you can have some kind of idea as to how to set up trade routes and goals and whatnot, but you won't actually know until you've done it and committed to it.
Usually, yeah. I mean, honestly, if you were good enough with spreadsheets or were analytically minded enough, you could know beforehand what is the absolute best.
But realistically, when you're playing the game,
yeah, you're just gonna get a feel for it, and then you're gonna kind of work on that feeling.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so we've got that. Also in this trade screen, we can do exactly what we just accomplished before with our merchants. Do you see the blue buttons at the bottom?
In the Lubeck trade screen?
In F1-4.
Oh, my bad. I got out of that. Yeah.
So those blue buttons, basically, if you clicked on those blue buttons, we can do the exact same thing we did the trade nodes. It's just much less GUI kind of see what happens.
We can go directly to what we're interested in.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
For this game, there's usually one or two ways to do every action.
Okay, yeah. I mean, as a new user, I mean, a new player, I should say, my definite feeling is that the GUI is difficult to understand, but I can see it being powerful in the sense that there's a lot of ways to access what you're trying to do through
Mhm.
different means, which is nice. As a Linux user, having that ability, the power user sort of sentiment that this game sort of provides is nice. Anyway,
Mhm.
that's my little tangent. So we've arranged trade with Lubeck. We've sent one of our merchants there. What's the next plan?
Okay, so now we've got our boats patrolling. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna save a little bit more money by mothballing our fleet.
Our Royal Navy fleet?
Yes. What that does is it stops us funding that fleet, and over time they'll decrease in fighting efficiency from 100% down to 25%.
Okay. And
When we
why do we
start,
want to do that?
or why we want to do that? The reason we want to do that is because it saves us quite a lot of money, like maybe 1 or 2 gold or ducats or whatever your preferred name
Currency.
for that currency is a month.
And
Uh,
is that something that's worth it?
yes, because we're not at war right now, so there's no reason to have them at full fighting efficiency.
Good
What
point.
happens is if we fund them again, we unmothball them and leave them in port. They will, if we're having them at full maintenance, like we probably will, we will have them back to full fighting strength within a year,
Okay.
and that's plenty of time in the frame. Most wars usually last between 4 and 10 years.
Okay.
So in the time frame of a war, that's nothing that's too bad to have
True.
happen. I think they actually, if you have it at full maintenance, I think they recover at 10% a month, and they're basically fighting effective. I mean, you're not going to lose them in a battle once they're at 65% or more. So we don't need to wait or worry too much, and we only need to have them in port on every monthly tick.
Okay.
So every time the month changes over is when they get healed. So
Okay.
as long as they're in that port in that time, then they're getting healed, and then we don't need to worry.
Okay.
So we'll probably mothballing them is probably the most sound financial thing to do. As you see, when we mothball it, we change our monthly income from something like 3.6 to 4.9. So it's definitely a very decent savings over time.
Okay. Sounds good. So now we've mothballed those guys, and we've again set up a trade relation, or we've improved trade in Lubeck.
hmm
Do we want to work towards improving our diplomatic relations with the countries? What was it? Austria and we had 2 countries that we were trying
Yep.
to improve.
Right now
Austria,
we've got Austria and Aragon.
right? Aragon. Thank you.
And then Castile will move on next. We've
Aragon
also
is medieval Spain, is it not?
Aragon and Castile. Aragon is like Catalan. It's Catalonia and a little bit. It's like Barcelona.
Oh, okay.
Barcelona, Valencia.
Okay.
Whereas Castile is your Galicia, Lyon, Badajoz, Toledo, Madrid. You know, your traditional kind of La
We
Mancha.
should probably pause this because we got a royal marriage.
We probably won't royal marry Connaught for now. We can just ignore that. So basically what a royal marriage does is if you have a royal marriage with a country, it's an opinion buff. We don't really care enough about Connaught right now to really want to have that royal marriage. Basically, it's a long-term, we can't attack you, you can't attack me kind of deal.
Okay, gotcha. So we're gonna pass that, and then something else came up. I saw that another alert is that now we can now build province improvements.
Yes. So as you see, we have more than... Right now, there's no province improvements that are really worth building to us.
Okay.
The only ones that we can build now are forts, and there's no real places... Oh, that's something else we should do. We should... Oh, we got a trade dispute. Oh, that's right. They are embargoing. We should embargo our rivals. That can happen later, though. So we're going to save a little bit of money. You see how these forts are suddenly turning red?
Yes.
So the reason that's happening is I'm mothballing them. What that means is that there's a garrison normally in that fort, and that garrison will keep that fort from being taken when someone tries to siege it.
I have noticed that our monthly income from trading has gone down since we sent that trader there. Since we sent the merchant to Lubeck.
Okay, so then let's move our merchant back to the North Sea.
So collect from trade or recall merchant.
Right, we can just click on the North Sea, transfer trade, and then the guy in Lubeck.
North Sea. Transfer trade power, right?
Yeah.
And then the guy from Lubeck, Thomas Bascuin.
Yep.
Okay, he's brought back.
So now we're going to change our light ship's mission from Lubeck to, let's move it to the North Sea now.
Okay.
And then we'll see next month what the change is. It probably should be back up to 6, I think, right?
Let's double check. F14. We're at 5.2.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was 6 or something before, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So we initially were at 6.08, I believe, or something along that line. 6.06.
Yep. And also, we were embargoed by France as well, so that might have had a small effect.
I imagine that would take an effect to our overall income.
But we're making more now, so this is probably where we want to be.
Yeah, we went up to 5.65, so that's good. So the merchant was a good call to bring back. There was one other... We can move it somewhere else, right? Our merchant somewhere. Or should we just keep it as it is so far?
We should probably keep the guy in Champagne. Okay. Because that's the only way for it to move from Bordeaux into our node.
Okay.
The only thing is we do have to contend with both Burgundy and France because they have the dominant power in the region. But us and Flanders are... Stupid sexy Flanders. Are drawing the trade power up.
Dental plan, Lisa needs braces. Dental plan, Lisa needs braces. Dental plan... Alright, that's enough Simpsons references for now.
So you'll notice before we were earning, I think, a little bit more. I think it was 6 or 7 in this node.
Yeah.
So we're earning less because other countries are now protecting trade in this node as well.
That would make sense. Harold from Poland, hey!
Yeah. So that is basically the most common pop-up you'll see in the very beginning.
So what do we do with the influenza?
Yeah.
Do we quarantine the port, or just not the first flu in the country? I would say we quarantine it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's usually the one you want to go with.
I'm going to do that. And what do we do with the Herald from Poland?
Basically, just click OK. That's to let you know that
I see.
Poland is now the leader of a personal union over Lithuania, I think. Wait, did they?
I actually pressed OK before I read it completely.
Oh,
Dumb
no.
mistake.
So what happened was... I shouldn't say, oh, no. It's this is a very, very rare moment. Usually, Poland goes with the option to form a personal union with Lithuania, and it appears in this game they decided not to. They just allied them instead. So, you know, that's actually very good for everyone else in that region. That's especially good for Lithuania because they're not underneath Poland as a lesser partner in that union, so they can go on to eat Muscovy or the Golden Horde, and everyone in that area is going to have a bit worse of a time because of it. But it's good for us because we don't really care about Eastern Europe right now.
No, our goal is in the Western Front, so to speak. Yep. Okay, so what are you doing on your end? Because I'm just kind of looking around at everything.
Right now I'm thinking about, we have a lot of money in the bank. If you press V, that is our production shortcut for land units. You can also get to this hotkey by, do you see the hammer and sword? Oh, support independence. That is actually... We probably want to do that.
So we accept?
Yes. Then Sweden will probably owe us favors. We can use them to beat up Denmark. Maybe we can screw Sweden over and take some land in Denmark, separate peace. You know, the normal, the usual stuff.
I'll see, you know, how the wind blows, where the tide takes us, or those are just things I made up. Anyway.
Where the wind blows, where the tide flows, only time.
YOLO.
That's Enya quote there.
Oh yeah, that's she's great. She makes some nice music.
Okay.
My mom really enjoys her.
So if do you see where the hammer and sword is in the top left?
The hammer and sword, yes.
That is our production interface. So basically the two most important interface options you'll have in this game are you click on your shield or you click on that production interface. You can pretty much play the entire game from those two buttons and your own country, like in clicking on your country, and never have to deal with anything else again.
So now that we're in the production unit menu, are we gonna produce any more units, or kind of?
So we have enough room for some land force limit. So we probably want about maybe 8 cavalry. So I'll produce another cavalry.
Okay.
And then we probably want maybe 20. Let's see. Maybe 22 units of Latin medieval infantry. So that'll bring us up to, allow us to make, 24 units, so 6. That'll let us make 2 decently sized armies that we can split apart, and they'll be competent enough to stand for maybe 2 or 3 weeks of fighting before we can reinforce one another. So that means we don't need to have just one stack doing everything.
Okay.
Which is pretty good. So we spent some of our money there, and that's going to bring us close to our force limit, but we don't really... We're worried about getting up to our force limit right now.
All right.
Because that's just spending... Oh, as well, we should reduce our army maintenance. We do that in the economy tab, which is F13, or just shield, and then money bag button.
Money bags. All right, I'm on the economy. Yeah. So sorry, what we're gonna do?
We're gonna lower our army maintenance because we're not at war right now, and we can just save some more income by lowering our army maintenance.
To what value would you recommend? So we're at 4.02 now?
Yeah, that's about where... That's most of the way down. We can actually go all the way down to 3.65, or 0 maintenance for our army.
I feel like if we're going to invade a nation, we should keep the army maintenance a little higher than 0.
Yeah,
Just that preemptively, when we get to that point, we have a somewhat maintained army.
Well, the thing is with this is it doesn't... The only thing this affects is the morale of your units.
Okay.
So at 0, we have very low morale. But if we were to bring it back up to 100%, our morale would recover over time. It takes about 4 months to go from 0 morale to go to 100% morale.
Okay. So let's keep it at the base unit for now, the base value for now, and then if it's just morale, then I don't see how we can... why not save money there while we can?
Yeah, no, exactly. As well, if your army suffers damages, say from attrition or from battles, if your maintenance is this low, or at the very bottom, then they won't recover manpower.
Okay.
Which is good when you have very low manpower and you're just... It costs money to reinforce. So if you're done a war and you're really low on manpower, you just should bring that slider all the way down to 0 so that you don't need to worry until your manpower is sufficiently back up. And manpower, by the way, is the top left corner. You see the 2 men standing side by side and the number 18,000 something by it?
Yep.
That's basically the amount of able-bodied men that we can draw on to fund our armies.
Okay. And now, speaking of maintenance costs, what about dropping our fleet maintenance, for example?
Our fleet maintenance, that's actually what mothballing does. Mothballing means that we can selectively drop maintenance for certain ships, certain groups. We don't want to drop it all the way because let's drop it all the way, and now hold your hover your mouse button over that blue slider button, and take a look at what that does to our trade power.
Yeah, it goes down significantly, 75%.
Yeah, so that lowers the morale of these ships to almost 0, and then also lowers the trade efficiency. That's why we mothball the ships that don't trade, because they don't contribute to this trade efficiency, so we don't lose anything in the trade by having them mothballed.
Right.
So these are all kinds of ways to save money so that we can invest it in other areas, such as you saw before, we could build something. We can't now because we spent some of that money. Exactly. But if you wanted to see what we could build in the future, we'll click on that production interface, which is shortcut V, or B if you specifically want to shortcut the buildings. So this interface is a very important interface that we'll use a lot in the upcoming events. But if we go to the Buildings tab, which is shortcut B,
Yep.
we can see all kinds of buildings that we can build and all the costs associated with them. The most important ones for now are going to be the taxation one. So that's the temple and the cathedral. Temple is the only one that's going to be unlocked soon.
Okay.
And then the production is the next one, which is going to be unlocked soon. And
Okay.
then trade is the next. These are like the early game buildings.
Okay.
So temple is probably the only one we're going to need to be worried about. And basically when you pay 100 ducats or monies to build that temple, it will essentially increase the amount of tax you get from a province over time as a result of you building it.
Right. Okay.
It's like you kind of have to weigh the cost versus return.
Okay.
So, for example, it's going to cost you 100 ducats to put that temple in a province, and if it only earns you back 0.05 ducats a month after building it, then it's going to take 100 divided by 0.05. I don't have a calculator handy, but that many months to recoup your costs to pay for itself. If that amount of time is less than the amount of time you have left in the game, then you don't build the temple because it will never pay for itself.
Naturally, that makes sense.
But if that number is, say, 20 years, hell yeah, right away. It's going to pay for itself very soon, and then anything on top of that is just not quite free, but free income.
Right. Okay. So I see how that works. So depending on what point we unlock administrative technology 4 in order to build a building.
Yeah, that's going to be very quick. I mean, this game, we unlock it. I mean, if you're a Western nation and you're not keeping up with all your nation, like all the other people around you, you're doing something wrong. And you're going to get to at least level 20.
Okay.
By the time you get to where basically by the end of the game. It's like level 23, I think.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah,
so how do we keep track of our level? I see.
Okay, so if
Level
we go to F1 5, that's our technology.
Okay, we're at 3.
And you can see the green bars underneath each technology. That's how close you are to being able to research the next technology level.
We expect to get it done by October 1st, or October 1460. So
Yeah,
that's
in
a
5
reasonable
years.
amount of time. Yeah, 15 years.
Oh wow, yeah, 15 years. Yeah, we have a real terrible monarch.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey, don't talk smack about Henry VI. He's my favorite.
yeah.
My second favorite.
Okay, so one thing we can do in order to expedite his untimely demise, so that we might have a better monarch leading, is we can make him into a general.
Okay.
Making your ruler into a general has putting them in charge of an army. I think it's like a 50% chance increase that they'll die every month on top of their like
lovely.
point something chance depending on their age.
Absolutely lovely. We can focus on that, I guess, at one point. We'll
Yeah.
see how things go with Henry VI, and then, you know, if it comes to the point where we'd rather get rid of him, then might as well get rid of him.
Oh, you 100% want to get rid of him.
Oh, really? Okay, well then fuck it. Let's make him a general.
Yeah, I've appointed him. So the
Okay.
way you make him into a general is you'd click on the easiest way, click on your army, and then you see there's 4 tabs for recruiting generals or recruiting whatever. You click on the one that says, the one with the big crown and the gloves, that makes your ruler into a general.
I see
And you
that,
just
yeah.
click on that, put them in charge.
So Henry VI of Lancaster.
And he's not a bad general, actually. He's got 2 shock, 2 fire. Fire, not very good in the early stages, better in the late stages. 1 maneuver, not the greatest, but not terrible.
And of course, 0 siege.
Yeah, siege would be nice to have, but we don't really need to worry about it too much.
All right.
Okay, so now let's start playing again. So now what we're probably going to do is if we press V and go to naval units, which is right under the armies.
Oh, we got a lack of an error popping up.
Yeah.
So most troubling indeed is all I can press. So go to V and then go to naval units, you were saying?
Oh, that pop-up there means that now we're 50% less likely to have our air, actually have an air now. So it's... We'll see what happens. So right now, yeah, press V and go to boats. We're probably going to want to just start building as many light ships as we can. They essentially pay for themselves by doing this protecting trade.
Okay.
So I'm going to build 6 for now. That'll bring us 1 over our force limit. You'll notice that the penalty for having ships over the force limit is much lower than the penalty for having troops over the force limit. So essentially they'll pay themselves off over time.
Okay.
And we can see that our newest crop of military units has grown up, and
Yep, I see them hanging around.
because our morale is so low, they can't move. You'll notice that's what that little lock means. We need to wait until their morale is at a sufficient level for them to be able to move on their own. So at 0 maintenance, that yellow bar has to be all the way to the top.
So now I have a few pop-ups. I have a generation of cowards, many long years of peace have caused a disturbing lack of manly virtues.
Oh, we're at war.
So purge them or we need them?
What is the detriment for purging them?
Losing 6330 manpower, and then we need them. England gets bad discipline until February 15th, 1456. Giving the following, so minus 5% discipline for 5.
Okay, we can lose the manpower, I think.
Can we?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll purge them. And news from the Holy See, a new pope. Great. So we're at war. Where are we at war with? Where do you... Oh, Swedish War for Independence.
Yeah, so independence wars, they kind of... You don't get a notification that they're happening until they've happened. What we're going to do is I'm going to grab... I have it set... Or there's a button that you can check that automatically... re-enables all of your forts and all of your maintenance.
Okay.
Because it's Denmark, we're unlikely to get invaded on home soil. So I've just mothballed again all the forts on home soil that aren't touching France because I'm not worried about that right now.
Okay.
As our looming disaster gets a little bit closer, then we'll want to pay more attention to raising our forts. So right now we have 2 options. The first option is we can go help Sweden, and the second option is we can prepare for the civil war that's really brewing right now at home.
So what is the cost of us not helping Sweden right now? That would obviously ruin our relations with Sweden.
It wouldn't actually do anything to our relations because they're AIs, they don't understand.
Oh, okay, fuck it. Then fuck Sweden, let's focus on ourselves, because eventually I feel like because of our goal, we should focus on ourselves and building the strongest country we can prior to invading France.
I'd say a weaker Denmark is definitely better for us in the long term.
That is true.
So one thing we can probably do just to help Sweden is we'll let our ships heal up to 100%.
Okay.
And we'll send those just to blockade and stop Denmark from being able to move troops around all of its straits.
Okay, sounds good.
So we'll get all of our troops together in London. We'll probably keep the maintenance where it is, just for now, on pause. And this will let us move our troops together much faster, and 2, this will prepare us for the looming disaster. Like it's coming at 5.5% a month, so it's going to be here in it's a 57 now, so that's about 33 more, so about 6 months, and then there we go, War of the Roses.
All right. Well, you know what? This is probably a good time to break this video. We're running at about 40 minutes anyway. So
okay.
So we've set up we're going to send ships to Sweden and hopefully barricade and blockade what we can. We're collecting our armies together now. We brought our morale up. And we're going to prepare for the War of the Roses. Is that right?
Yes, sounds good.
Cool. So tune in next time. Again, thanks for watching. It's me, Venus, Venomoose, and my buddy here.
Hey, Themus, how's it going? Have a good one, guys.
We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.